How much you spend on that outfit?
Like about $850, bro.
Spend that much just to get rejected by every girl in there?
This is very true. Houses are being left on the market. Hey, with your...
Okay, here we go, starting in.
Take 3. Hey, Tuesday here with your Tuesday reaction video. And let's get right into it. We're gonna check out this video, Caleb Hammer Live. I saw some stuff in here that, I think I gotta give my opinion on because I'm in real estate, it's what I know. Here's your Tuesday reaction, let's get started. It's called The Housing Market is Finished. On the channel is called Caleb Hammer Live. Let's get right into it.
We're in a crisis situation right now where houses are being just left on the market. People are feeling the pinch, people have no idea what the is going on, and it's crazy right now. So I want to go through people's personal experiences. What's happening?
This is very true. Houses are being left on the market. And the simple answer for this, the explanation for this is the market is transitioning right now. We might already be in a buyer's market simply because of what buyers are getting, what buyers are demanding. There's more listings than there are buyers in the ratio before. There was less listings. People weren't selling. The general consensus is something called the golden handcuffs, which means somebody bought a house. They have a interest rate of, say, 3%. And right now, the best interest rate you can get, maybe with the best credit in the world, with a good amount of money down, maybe 6%, which is double what the rate you could get. So say you bought a house, say you bought a 3-bedroom house, and then your kid moved out. So you're like, okay, we don't need a bedroom. Let's downgrade, or let's get a smaller house. And then you were to sell your 3-bedroom house to buy a 2-bedroom house, which is supposed to be cheaper, and maybe pocket some of that money or save some money. You would be downgrading to a smaller house or a cheaper house, but your price is still going to be the same. So there's no point in selling. This is a touch on what the golden handcuffs are. Right? Since we're in the transition and houses are sitting on the market, because if you were able to get, a year ago, you were able to get, $100,000 more for your house, and you're like, okay, I'm going to sell, and you still think you can get that much. But now you come in, you put your house for sale, there's more houses available because rates have dropped a little bit. So some people are more motivated. And I believe as more drops in the rates happen, so as rates come down a little bit more, I think more people are going to be motivated to sell because they're going to be closer to that goal of selling their house, and the rate is closer to what they had before. This is just gonna, just gonna get worse, because the more the rate drops, the more people are gonna list, the more houses are gonna be on the market, the more options that buyers have, so the buyers can be more picky. So before, if there was one buyer, or say there was 2 buyers and there was one house, the 2 buyers were like, well, I want the house, so I won't ask for anything. I don't want anything fixed. I'll take whatever payment. You don't have to give me any credit. But then it went from an even match to, because this is when prices were kept going up, because there was 2 buyers and there was only one house. So prices kept going up. It went to the part where now there's 1 buyer and there's 1 house. So then now you don't have to offer more. And now you don't have to be like, I don't need to get I don't need the house to appraise. I don't need any of this contingency. I don't need to do an inspection. That's where it was when it was very competitive, when there was 2 buyers per house. Now, this is just an example, and they're not exact numbers, but it's for demonstration purposes. Now you got 1 buyer with 1 house, and now it's more reasonable. I want to buy the house. They don't have to offer more. They can still get an inspection. So they could say they do an inspection, they find a bunch of stuff wrong, and they think, okay, this is my deal breaker. And I want this fixed, but it's not a big deal because I like the house. But if you fix just, fix a part of the stuff that I want fixed, and then we can come to an agreement, the house sells. We're moving now into a buyer's market where you have, instead of 1 house for 1 buyer, there might be 2 houses for 1 buyer. So then the buyer has the option between the 2 houses, and say they go into contract with this house, and they're like, this is the price, and they send the offer, and then the seller's like, I want this price, and the buyer's like, okay, that could work. Okay, let's do a general home inspection. So then the buyer hires somebody to go check out the house. They check the roof, the floor, the walls, the wiring, the appliances work, whatever. They go through the whole house and they put a list of anything that might be wrong with the house. So then the buyer says, I want this and this fixed. and then the seller says, or the buyer can say, I want this fixed, or I want a credit, right? You got options. It's all a negotiation until it closes. So then the seller says, no, I don't want to fix all that. Then the buyer's going to be like, hey, we saw this other house that maybe this stuff wasn't wrong with it. So they no longer have to be like, they're no longer panicked that I want to stick to this house and they have to accept whatever the seller sells. Now they got options. So that's when the buyer, either to keep the buyer, has to either lower the price or agree to fix some stuff, unless he knows he has something of very good quality, something special that, you know, they can't just get from anywhere else. Then you can get a little bit picky. But if you have an average house, you know, the next house, if the buyer wants to offer you $5,000 less, and you're like, nah, I want my $5,000 as a seller, the other seller might need to, I don't know, move for a job. They might need the money. So they're like, I'll take $5,000 less. And this is when you start seeing the prices go down. But the problem, since we're in that transition period, the houses are staying on the market longer because sellers still think that they can get whatever they want, right? And I'm not on either side. I'm just explaining what's going on. Let's continue with the video.
Are just giving up on selling their house because they feel like these locks on mortgages. So okay, couple things are going on in my opinion before we go into the TikToks. So what I'm thinking personally, right, is people feel trapped in the rates of like 2 to 3%. Why do they go get a rate for like 6% right now?
I did watch part of this video, but I didn't take notes or anything. I just heard some stuff that I think needed some clearing up. I might have watched a few minutes of it, but I mean, he's kind of saying what I was saying. Let's get back to it.
If we see rates come down a little, I don't know. Inflation data today wasn't the most promising. I'm sure actually mortgage rates probably ticked up today. We'll see. But I wasn't like thrilling, yay, at least in terms of what the Fed wants to see. And there's also
what he's talking about inflation data. So we have something called it's either there's producer, there's consumer, there's different ways. So the producer is the people that make the stuff, that sell the stuff. So the cost of goods that like stores sell, that would be, or the people that make it, you know, what it costs to get those products made, or what it costs to get those products to the market. And then there's a consumer price index that, you know, this shows the prices of stuff. The consumer is the people that buy it, and the producer is the people that get the stuff to the market. So there's price fluctuations and there's lists. I think they're called consumer price index and producer price index. If you look at these things, it'll tell you month by month if inflation is up or inflation is down, prices of milk, prices of, if it's up, prices of cars, prices of rent. There's all kinds of metrics. And what he's saying when he says, I'm assuming, I haven't looked at it, but I'm assuming when he's talking about that it's not good for market rate, it means that if we have no inflation, then that means they can get easier on the lending, because when lending gets easier, more money can be borrowed, and that money can be used to buy stuff. So when this is called quantitative easing. So this is basically, they make it easy for money to flow. And when it's easy, when they put money in people's pockets, people go and spend the money. And when all this money is being spent, people are competing for the products, so the price of everything goes up. So then when he says that it's not good, that means that there was inflation. And when there's inflation, they make it harder to borrow money because they need to slow money down, because when they make money easier to move out, it makes everything else more expensive. If I could explain this better, so just I'll put a comment down there, ask me whatever questions, any specifics, or if I'm saying something wrong, I'm always learning. So just put a comment.
Another thing, and we see this when it comes to people selling their cars or selling anything that they already bought. People saw how crazy home prices went in like the COVID era. And they saw that their home was valued on Zillow for a crazy price, and now they're not willing to accept anything lower. So they'd rather pull off their house because they think they deserve all this huge thing, this huge price. So let's go over some of the sentiments that people are dealing with right now. Let's get some data.
Hey, I think this guy knows what he's talking about. You know what? He does have a financial channel. He might know what he's talking about. I'm not a financial planner. I'm a real estate agent that is involved in buying and selling homes and, you know, rental units and all this stuff. So I have some experience on the working side of things. But this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Probably does, from what he's saying. So I probably listen. And you don't have to believe everything people say, but you should at least, you know, listen to whatever you gotta listen to and make your own decision on stuff. If you need to look something up, if you need to ask questions, don't be afraid to question somebody. If I sound like I'm saying some BS, just go ahead and let me know. Or if you agree with something or you want a specific question, just ask me. I know about real estate, and if I don't know, I'll bug one of the old timers, and they might be tired of me already. But how else am I supposed to learn if I don't take their knowledge, right?
Talk housing, everyone's favorite subject. On this Thursday. By the way, as people realize we're not talking about Charlie Kirk, about 400 people dropped off. I've used this title like 5 times. I didn't even associate it with the news going on. I apologize. I just don't want to get into all that shit. It's just too sad for me.
One of my houses is right there on the end. I've had that for over a year, about a year and a half.
One of my houses? Go on.
All of these houses, brand new builds, available, all 10 of them, for sale, just sitting here, year and a half. 10. Like, these are...
Year and a half. Why? Then, okay, you know what that's telling you? I'm going to give you a little fun fact. The market is deeming that no one wants to fucking buy it at the price you have listed it for, and it's no longer a choice. It's no longer a choice, buddy. If you want to sell it, you got to meet the buyer where they are. It's not there.
Okay. Yes. What he means by if the market, what do you say? The market bears or whatever the market wants. Let's see.
All 10 of them.
How did he say it?
For sale, just sitting here, year and a half. 10. Like, these are...
Year and a half. Why? Then, okay, you know what that's telling you? I'm going to give you a little fun fact. The market is deeming that no one wants to fucking...
Right. The market is deeming, what it means simply is the buyers that are out there, right? If you put your house on the market, if there's one buyer there, for your house, that's good. You're going to sell it, maybe get what you're asking for, then maybe ask for something. If the market is 2 buyers and they both want your house, then they're going to fight over it, and that's better for the seller. Now, if there's no buyers for it, which seems to be the case with this guy with the new houses, that he says has been sitting there for a year and a half, there's no buyers for his houses. So the market is deeming it's not worth whatever price he has it for. Because I guarantee you there is a number that he puts it low enough. I mean, if, say the house is listed at, I don't know, $300,000 and nobody's buying it, what if it's listed at $250,000? What if it's listed at $50,000? I don't know where this house is at, but if that house was listed at $50,000, a brand new house, there's a good chance I might go over there and buy it. So, that's the market deeming what the house is worth. So if it's been sitting there for a year and a half, most likely, the usual suspect is the price of the house. There's other factors that are like, if say you got a neighbor sitting there with a shotgun, it's more rare. But it's possible that somebody went to go look at a house and they saw a neighbor with a shotgun sitting on the porch and they're like, okay, I don't want to live here, right? So, but that's less likely. There's a bigger chance that it's the price that's stopping this guy from selling his house.
Buy it at the price you have listed it for, and it's no longer a choice. It's no longer a choice, buddy. If you want to sell it, you got to meet the buyer where they are. It's not there. You're wanting a lot more for it. No one can afford it. Yeah, if it's the reality that no one can afford it, and guess what, big guy? You got to lower the price so people can afford it. How's he never going to sell it? I'm surprised he hasn't been willing to drop it a year and a fucking half, essentially. Like, that's kind of crazy, right? $1 million homes, that's the problem. Yeah, this is like a piece of shit new development in the middle of the desert with no trees. I want to die.
Okay, I was wrong. Not $300,000. They're $1 million houses. In order to sell a house for $1 million, it's got to be the right area.
Oh, yeah, those aren't $1 million homes.
They're $1 million homes.
In what world are these $1 million homes?
That's the problem. 10. Just 2.
Dude, those are like fucking single family homes.
By the way, I saw a video the other day. The city is whatever city. There was some individuals, some gangsters, and they were throwing up their gang signs and yelling stuff at each other outside of these regular 3-bedroom houses. These are new houses. I'm talking houses built 40, 50 years ago. Not 2 stories, nothing special, just a regular house in California. These houses are $1 million houses, 900,000 and up. You know what I mean? It's in the $1 million range. So if this house was sitting there, it would probably be 1.3, 1.5 million for these houses. So I don't know in what world Mr. Caleb Hammer lives in, but it's very easy to get $1 million valuation on houses in some areas. This looks like a nice neighborhood. I'm not sure where it's at, but 50-year-old house, 3 bedrooms, not 2 stories, nothing new, nothing, just regular house. They're about $1 million, and there's like gang fights outside of them. So Mr. Caleb Hammer, I can teach you a thing or two about real estate.
The most depressing ass neighborhood I've ever seen. These are $1 million homes. I think this guy is the problem. Only buyers are private equity firms. Remember, private equity is like 1% single family homes. It's way overblown what it is. Now they own a lot of apartment complexes for sure. But single family homes, yeah, it's low.
One of my houses is right there.
They just canceled, and they dropped and canceled everything. So what happened was,
Oh, she's freaking out. She's on edge.
action came back, and they said there was $20,000 in damages inside the house. There was not.
Okay. So hold on, that's their negotiating, right? They're like, oh, $20,000 in concessions, blah, 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 fix. Not damages, probably.
He said they needed a new roof, and they were asking for $10,000 for a new
Asking, it's negotiation.
roof. And we said, we'll meet you halfway with 5. Because there's no leaking, there's no damage, the roof is old. Okay, it's old. If the house is good,
They probably need a new roof. What's old? No, what's a...
Mr. Hammer's right here. He's talking about it's asking is a negotiation. When you send an offer or you receive an offer, there's a escrow period. In that escrow period, there's timelines that you have to do your investigations when it comes to inspecting the home or getting professionals out there to look at different parts of the home, of the foundation, the roof, the plumbing, whatever, right? There's a period. And if you see something that you don't like, then you like, okay, fix this. Also, the title, you got to make sure that you're actually able to buy the house, that nobody has a claim to the title. It's called clean title. The buyer's called ready and able or willing and able, which means that you want to buy it and that you have the means to. And for the seller is that you have to have there's a specific word. It's not coming to me right now, but it's like that nobody has a claim to it, whatever the thing is. I can look it up if you're interested, but that's what the escrow period is for. Make sure that the seller can actually give you the house and make sure that the buyer can actually pay you for the house. So in that time, if somebody wants $20,000 of fixes, you don't have to give them the $20,000. It's a negotiation. You can look at it and decide for yourself. And they're like, oh, it needs a new roof, and say the roof costs 20 grand. But then it's just, oh, it has a leak on this corner. If it's a 30-year-old roof, maybe it needs a new roof. If the roof was put in 10 years ago and there's just some damage on it because the inspector might have stepped on the roof, or because you went on the roof to clean your solar panels and they just broke on one spot, and you just to fix it, maybe it's a couple $1,000s compared to the 20,000, right? That's why it's a negotiation. I would really like to talk to this lady's real estate agent, and the real estate agents can probably a really good idea of what was the issue with this house. And like I said, just because somebody asks for $20,000, it doesn't mean you have to give it to them. It depends also on what position the seller is in. If the seller just absolutely wants to sell and doesn't want to risk losing it. But if it's a fair price, real estate agent that tells you what the fair price is, if it's a fair price, if you're trying to get too much money for the house and the house is in a condition that doesn't warrant that money, be prepared to be asked for a discount, or be prepared to ask for stuff to be fixed. But if the house is fairly priced and you know on average what the house is going to sell for, you don't have to be that worried, because if you don't work with this buyer that's being unreasonable, if they're being unreasonable, then you move on to the next buyer. Because on average, that's why we have statistics. The statistics, they might not be exact, but they don't lie. So you'll have a good idea of within the range what you're going to get for it, and you know if somebody's being unreasonable or not. There are buyers that are unreasonable. There are sellers that are unreasonable. How do you protect yourself? Get it sold by Tuesday, Tuesday.com. I need to come up with a little commercial to put it right in the middle. Get it sold by Tuesday, Tuesday.com. TOOSDAE.com. Let's get back to it.
It's old. Dude, if your house unit is old, it probably needs to be replaced or fixed at minimum. You get interest rates are currently sitting at average of 3.9. Yeah, but you guys don't have 30-year fixed rate mortgages, right? You guys switched to an adjustable rate mortgage, right? After like 5 years.
in 2005.
What? You have 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Probably needs to be replaced or fixed at minimum. You get interest rates are currently sitting at average of 3.9. Yeah, but you guys don't have 30-year fixed rate mortgages, right? You guys switched to an adjustable rate mortgage, right? After like 5 years.
In 2005.
He's talking about adjustable mortgage, UK mortgages. He's 100% right. The 30-year mortgage is very specific to the United States. In Canada, there's no 30-year mortgages. As far as I'm concerned, I might be wrong, but if you get a good mortgage in Canada, I don't know about good, but you can get a market rate mortgage. And I think it's only good for maybe 5 years. And it looks like it's the UK, it's the same thing. So say, for example, people that bought a house in 2020 and 2022 or something and got like a 3% mortgage rate, that mortgage rate, you're locking that in for 30 years. It doesn't matter where the mortgages are. Right now, I mean, there was people getting 8-9% mortgages for regular loans not too long ago. We're down to about, on average, you might be getting like a 6.5% rate right now. And those people are locking that in for 30 years, right? And then the reason you refinance is if when it drops, say you got a 7% and now it's at 6, you refinance and you save a little bit of money. But if you got a 3% mortgage, and you lock that in for 30 years, that's nice because your debt, you have it set for that long. Then again, the government comes in, taxes go up, which they shouldn't go up because you're not. It's not a taxable. You're not selling your house, so they shouldn't do that. It's illegal from my point of view, and legally it's not legal for them to raise your taxes if you haven't sold something. You're supposed to pay taxes on when you buy, and if you sell a car, you pay taxes on the money that you're getting. If you buy a car, you pay sales tax because you're buying something, right? So for a home, when you buy it, you're supposed to the house is supposed to be taxed at what you bought it at. So if your house gains value, you're not doing anything with it. It's unrealized gain. So you say you buy a house for $100,000 and it's now worth $200,000. You're not really benefiting from that because you're not selling it. So that $100,000 is not in your pocket. It's just in your house. You're not doing anything. There's not something called a taxable event happening. So there's no reason why your taxes should be going up and should be assessed. If you want to look into it, it looks like there's some kind of fraud thing going on with the school district and stuff, and some effery that's going on over there. But I'm getting off of the main point here. But in the U.S., we have something very special where you can lock in your rate for 30 years, and it's not something that you can do with Canada or in the U.K. as the comment. I see the comment that they're talking about here. Back to the video.
You can move into the house, get homeowner's insurance, and I have a new roof change.
So this is kind of what you're calling. So this is what's interesting. Here's the data we have today, guys. Weird. Okay, here's the data we're seeing right now. The average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 6.35%, which is, I think that's the lowest it's far.
All right. I'm not sure. Double check. But I think this lady just is telling the buyer to commit fraud. If you buy a house with a messed up roof and you get insurance on the house, and then you call the insurance company and you tell them, hey, my roof needs to be replaced. Can you replace it? Then insurance comes in. Okay, yeah, it's messed up. We replace it. But you got insurance with a house knowingly that it's a messed up roof, and then you go to the insurance company and you tell them to replace it. I think that's fraud. So it's this lady's funny. Let me go back a little bit. Let me see.
Mortgages, right?
This lady.
Switch it to an adjustable rate mortgage, right?
I don't see her name. I don't know who she is. She looks a little deranged. But yeah, let's move on.
5 years.
In 2005, you can move into the house, get homeowner's insurance, and I have a new roof changed.
So this is kind of what you're calling.
So this is what's interesting. Here's the data we have today, guys. What the fuck is kind of going on with this? This is weird. Okay, here's the data we're seeing right now. The average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 6.35%, which is, I think that's the lowest this year so far. Wow, 15-year fixed rate is down to 5.5%. Okay, so that is helping with borrowing costs, but still people aren't buying the homes that we want. National home price growth is modest, 1.2 to 1.4% year over year, which is well below inflation, right? So it's currently not keeping up with inflation. So that's kind of a cool into the overall price gains. Inventory and listing. Inventory is up 18.4% year over year. But here's the thing. If it's up 18.4%, but no one is willing to accept lowering the prices, but the inventory is higher, every seller is about to be fucked. And then for a rude awakening, are they just going to give up? Are they just going to give up?
Okay, Mr. Caleb Hammer does know what he's talking about, I think, because that's exactly what I was talking about, right? It went from having 3 buyers for one house to 2 to matching. When they match, that's when the prices stay steady. And now that we see prices coming down a little bit, it's probably because there's not more people buying. That's because the rates haven't really dropped that much. Affordability is not really there. Insurance has gone up. Fixing stuff is the price of fixing stuff. The price of labor has gone up. Everything's more expensive. So the affordability, what it costs to own a house has not come down. What has come down is the price of the houses. And now if we're looking at inventory going up, that means that besides the houses price coming down a little bit, now we got more houses on the market and more options for buyers, so they can be more picky, so they can ask for this, they can ask for that, and the seller, because they want to sell, they have to be like, okay, I'll give you this or I'll give you that.
Sale in a recent week. Wow, that's crazy. That's with Realtor.com. Homes sold have traded down slightly. For example, in 2025, in July, there were 479,000 homes sold compared to 485,000 same month last year. Oh, interesting.
Is it because that's 1.3% drop, right? Is that because, again, sellers don't want to drop their house now? Like, how high? Yeah, a lot of people thought I was going to talk about Charlie Kirk. Maybe I should change my title. Because we've had, talk about, how about this? It's unacceptable that anyone should die based on their opinions. If we're talking something actions, right? If we're talking like fucking Saddam Hussein, doing actions, that's different, but having opinions, that's unacceptable to die over. Anyone, no matter what, extremism is Charlie Kirk and Shapiro, doesn't matter. That's not the conversation here. That's not the conversation here.
housing market is currently valued at, I guess, is a record $55.1 trillion, which is up $20 trillion since early 2020. That's insane. That's fucking crazy. The growth of the past year is modest, $862 billion. That's fucking crazy. $20 trillion up to $55 trillion. That is fucking crazy. Listen, I know that feels bubble. That feels bubble all over, right? Yeah. Housing payments per owner reached a median of $2,035.
The reason that's important is there's $55 trillion. I don't know if it's equity or not, but it's valued at $55 trillion. That means that a certain percentage of that is how much people owe on them. So say it's valued at 55 trillion, but there's 25 trillion. That means there's 30 trillion of space between how much houses can drop. Because if, say, it drops below how much debt is on it, somebody that's paying for a house and they pay 500,000 for the house and the value of it drops to 400, but they owe 500, they're not going to want to pay the house. That would be catastrophic for the market. So the way they look at it, in my opinion, is if there's 25 trillion, we can drop from 55 trillion to 25 trillion because people still kind of owe what the house is worth, if that makes sense. That's where the bubble territory comes in. I think the last time that it crashed might have been at like 30% equity or 15, something like that. We can look up the stats later.
That's interesting. That's lower than I thought it would be. Median rents rose to $1,307.
Hey guys, it's April and Lance here. This is round 2 of taking this video because somebody is a pain in my ass. But anyways, we decided to come here because we swore that we would be upfront and honest and open about the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the things in between with this adventure.
Tell us.
The truth is, we have listed the house. It has sat on the market for 2 months.
Okay, 2 months though. What the average was like 90 days is like classic traditional, right? So 2 months I wouldn't be freaking out. Maybe a slight price drop to show that you're clearly motivated to sell would be important, but yeah.
We have gotten very...
I don't think 90 days is average. I think average is more like 60 days at the moment. So just if you want to know about your area, just send me a comment or a DM and we can find out what it is in your area. And the days on the market basically is if, if a house like yours sells for a certain price, average, and it also sells at these average many prices. So if you price it below that, you're going to sell it faster. If you price it above that, it's going to take longer to sell or it's not going to sell. That's why days on the market is important. They've been on the market for 90 days. Obviously, that means that their price is too high.
I would say traction.
Like you're probably overpriced. There's buyers in the pool, but buyers not willing to buy a house they cannot afford when interest rates are still high, even if they're at the lowest point this year so far, but still high. Well, listen, for a long time, let's pretend, how long would it take for interest rates to stay at about 6.5% for that to feel normal? Because we had incredible rates during COVID, and people still see that in the past. People still see that in their lives. They're like, fuck, I'm going to wait for that. How long is it going to take? Does it need to be 6.5% for that to feel like a good rate?
We've gotten one offer, and they...
Actually, statistically, it's more of a mind game. If you notice, anytime there's a drop in rates and then it stops and kind of pops up, people kind of panic and there's a little raise in buying houses because people think like, okay, let me lock in this rate because it's about to go up. But if it keeps going down, people feel like they don't want to buy because what if it drops again and then I just missed that bigger drop. So it's not how long it stays at 6.5. It's more of what the trend is doing, if that makes sense.
I got an offer.
So we got 4 offers.
Should you buy right now? Yeah, because I feel like you should squeeze the buyer down. Or the seller down. It's a buyer's market. Like, don't buy anything you can't afford. But squeeze them down. Squeeze them.
We got one real offer, and they ended up ghosting their realtor when it came time to put the earnest money down. And they
Yeah, fair enough.
They ghosted their realtor probably because they saw another house that offered them a better deal. And, they want to save face. They don't want to be like, hey, realtor, sorry, we wasted your time. They're not going to, they'll just kind of ghost and then start working with somebody else. I've seen this happen before, but it happens. There's, as you know, salesmen, we're kind of, I'm lumped in with a salesman, and a lot of people don't have the highest opinion of us. But my people use me again over and over just because of what I provide. I inform them, make decisions. I use statistics. Trust me, you want me on your side.
From investors who lowball us.
Like this person right here. Nobody is lining up to pay 2021 prices for 20 to 25 payments. Exactly. That's the sentiment right there. Ouch. Oops.
The selling season's over in just 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, selling homes is going to be almost non-existent, which it is right now. It's at record low.
I love the optimistic music. I guess this is good. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Across the country. But if you think it's low now, and it's prime season, June,
biggest season of the year for buying and selling homes, and it's been a disaster. But it's about to get a lot worse, because in 2 weeks, it'll be past the 4th of July. And after the 4th of July, it's all about back to school, back to school. So help me figure out why I can't get this house sold. Okay, we got brown grass. The outside shingling is like ugly as fuck. This looks like 2000, right? There's no trees to speak of. There's a couple way back there, like a neighbor's backyard. This is depressing as a kid. What do you have, a red bush here? What the fuck is going on? Okay, that's first. It's been shown many times, and just no contract on it. So, hey, give me a price, give me a view. Give you a quick look at the neighborhood. Yeah, that neighborhood looks literally miserable. Why is there not a single tree in anyone's front yard? This looks like the most depressing neighborhood I would ever live in the entire world. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Yeah, why do people want to live in it? I don't live sometime desert, but it's just a depressing neighborhood. Malcolm says it's a $350,000 house.
He is correct. A lot of people do think a lot or give a lot of importance to what other people think about them. That's why we're a consumer country. It's very important with the keeping up with the Joneses thing for us. That's why we all like Nikes. That's why everybody wants Labubus, right? And if you look at a house, no one else is buying there, you're like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with the house. Not necessarily you went and looked at the house and it's not a good enough house. So, but also if the price was right enough, somebody will buy the house. So remember, usually the number one thing is the price.
No, yeah, the Leo Gray houses, I know, it doesn't look like a new, no, this side looks newer. This is a weird neighborhood. And like you can tell, this is like a new lawn. They put down like the gray patches, but they didn't water it, or is it winter there already? It's a neighborhood, great yard. We got something in late spring. Side in the front. We got landscaping. We got a double car garage.
Wow, you can get 2 cars in your garage.
We got sprinkler systems. This is a 1479 square foot house.
It looks so much bigger than less than 1,500. Like, I feel when it comes to buying a house or reselling a house, you want minimum 3-bed, 2-bath, garage attached, 1,500 square foot house. That is like the minimum that Americans are looking for in each.
Okay, maybe now that's the minimum, Mr. Hammer, but historically, a 2-bedroom house, maybe 700 to 900 square feet. That's what a starter home is. The reason that people are buying these bigger houses is the people building them, selling the 1,500 square foot homes, the bigger homes is more profitable. They make more money on selling you a 3-bedroom, 1,500 square foot house than a 2-bedroom, 900 square foot house. But historically, no, 1,500 is not what people had historically been looking for. It is now the standard because that's the only thing that they're offering and that's the only thing that's available. So when the house is bought, that's what gets recorded statistically right now. But historically, no, Mr. Hammer, that is not what if there was a house that was 900 or 700 square feet, 2 bedrooms, a lot more people would be buying them. But the people that are offering the houses, they want to make more money and it's more profitable. And it's not their fault. Of course, the government gets involved and makes everything more expensive, right? It's more expensive to build, inspections and permits. It's all more expensive. So it's not 100% their fault, but it's a capitalism thing, right? I'm not against capitalism, though.
Like, people don't accept starter homes anymore. Like 50, 100 years ago when we were getting starter homes, it was like 1,000 square feet, 2-bed, 1-bath. Like, that was classic, We don't accept that. The American consumer doesn't accept that. You build a brand new house under 1,500 square feet that looks like...
It's not the American consumer's choice. It's right now it is the choice because they can't buy it. So now they're thinking, okay, we have to do something to make this more affordable. So either prices are going to come down or they're going to find the starter home to sell for people and they're going to give them the option. But since everybody wanted to buy a house, they're like, okay, we have all these people buying. How do we make more money? Don't sell them the smaller house, make the bigger house and force them to buy the bigger house. So no, it's not the American consumer choosing, my friend. It's the market. And by default, now they're going to be forced to offer something more affordable, whether the price drops or whatever, something's going to break.
There's at least 2,000? That's shit.
With 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths.
At least they hit that rule. Okay, look at that. I mean, it has vinyl flooring from 2012. 2008 if I'm being generous, actually. A shitty ceiling fan, and they got the shitty build new home creamed yellow paint. It's just shit. Listen, I mean, everyone has this, right? But people have the choice. Why are they choosing this in the middle of nowhere?
Mr. Hammer, you're very successful, more successful than I am, probably because this looks kind of nice to me. It's what people can afford, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of people that live in this and they're very happy with that. So just, don't be like, maybe because I'm in real estate, I kind of know a little bit more about real estate and I'm a little more accepting, but it looks nice to me. That's just stuff doesn't last longer anymore. You can't keep if you buy a 2025 truck, you can't keep it for 30 years like you could the old ones. That's the reality right now.
Concept.
I accept this, but it's only me and my girl. That's the thing. It's like, yeah, I mean, this is, when you're going and getting a house, I was like, yeah, I'd be happy. I can make a really good life here, I'm chilling. But when people are in a market where more houses are on the market and there's more choices, why is someone choosing this for likely overpriced, right? That's the question.
Floor plan. So you walk in and...
The point is, then people are not choosing it, my friend. Like you said earlier, the American consumer is choosing this. It's been sitting on the market for a year. Obviously, they're not choosing it, Mr. Hammer. I can teach you a course if you need it. I'm messing with you. Don't.
Living space. Okay, when you're walking into a living space that is the size of like an apartment living space. That's not great. That's not a good if we're being honest. Now, is this a kitchenette right here? Is that what this is? Or a little off kitchen? Not kitchen, sorry. Dining room? Is this where you put the table? This looks like somebody you rent.
Here we got a cook closet right here, half bath.
Okay, it's fine.
In there.
Oh, what is this like white barn painted bullshit? Dude, you need a different designer. This is a horrible mirror. Again, this really is. He's like, he's elder millennial, young Gen X. Like, this is what they dreamed of when they graduated high school, but they haven't developed in the modern market. That's like my first rental. Yeah, I know. This looks like a friend, a couple friends of mine. They rented a place in like way North Austin last couple years, and they were a place that was nicer than this, but it's giving me that vibe. It's not a place for someone to buy. It's a place for someone to rent. I don't know.
So help me figure
That's it, huh? Who is this? He's the original creator here. Here we go. Let's search this guy. I want to see the rest of the house. Because that was just a I'm not surprised. I really want to know what it was priced at. I don't think we'd be able to find it. That's okay.
A $550,000 home with a 2.5% mortgage rate. We don't like our neighborhood. Do we sell or do we rent? Well, let's run the numbers. This is why so many people are not selling their homes and they feel stuck. Let's say they bought this house for $350,000 in 2020, got a loan for $320,000 at 2.5%. Their payment out the door was probably $1,850. Now 4 years later, their home is worth $550,000. So their property tax insurance probably went up. Let's say $2,100.
COVID base, that COVID boost, that isn't worth that today in the year of good old 2025.
Is their payment if they just get. But if they're going to sell, it's going to cost them $30,000 to sell with fees and closing costs. Maybe end with $520,000, but they said they owe $260,000.
Fees and closing costs. Is that considered? I don't know if that's including seller and buyer realtor fee, 6%. Which, by the way, now you can kind of split between them, but it's a buyer's market, so I don't know why they wouldn't split it on seller to pay the 6% total.
$2,000 on the loan, so they'll leave them with $258,000 of cash for their next property. Not bad. Let's say they want to upgrade to a 650, just a little upgrade. They're going to have
with the rates, let's see, this is going to get fucked.
$9,000.
They're explaining the golden handcuff situation, but I want to address Mr. Hammer again. He said, let's go back just a second. Let me see.
Marcus, I don't know why they wouldn't split.
All right. He's talking about that you can split the commissions. The idea here was there was a lawsuit about a year and a half ago with NAR saying that the realtors were trying to gouge homeowners, right? Or it was something, they were blaming the real estate agents, and there's, I don't know how many billions of dollars the NAR had to pay out or something like that. So the idea was that this was going to make it cheaper for sellers, right? Because they weren't going to be gouged anymore. The only people that made money here were the lawyers. They're the only people that made money. Because if you look at the average commission that a seller was paying before this lawsuit and the average commission that a seller is paying after this lawsuit, it's actually higher on average, the commission that is being paid by sellers because of this. So no, you can't just split the commission because houses are not more affordable. Like you're like if buyers were able to buy a house 5 years ago and now it's less affordable, what makes you think that they're going to carry the cost of paying the buyer's side commission instead of the sellers? So no, you can't. No, it's not really splitting, because if you have to make the buyer pay for their commission, there's going to be even less buyers. So yes, it looked like they were helping sellers, but no, the only person that made money here were the lawyers, because sellers are still paying more commission on average that they did before Mr. Hammer. Stick to financial. I'll let you know about the real estate. And you got to understand, Lil Wayne probably has a $50 million house. It does not mean that you can learn from him before you get on me about having your $1 million houses and everything that you have. Okay?
Pay the 6% total.
$2,000 on the loan, so leave them with $258,000 of cash for their next property. Not bad. Let's say they want to upgrade to a 650, just a little upgrade. They're going to
with the rates, let's see, this is going to get fucked.
$8,000 of closing costs, leaving them with $238,000 to put down, taking out a loan of $412,000 at 7%. Will now bring their payment of property tax and everything to $3,650. So by going from
and has their income increased by that percentage? That's insane. That would be insane. There's no way.
a 550 home to a 650 home, even with $238,000 cash down, they're paying.
Now, in his example, they're looking at an upgrade. In my example, I was looking at a downgrade. So you can downgrade from a bigger house to a smaller house, nicer to, or, different, not as nice of a neighborhood, not as fancy of a neighborhood, whatever, to a cheaper house. And you're still either paying the same or you're paying more. This is actually an upgrade. So that's over $1,000 more on the payment.
$1,500 a month. And what's even crazier is if you look back to 2020 when they had an interest rate of 2.5%, even now, they keep it. It's only going to cost them $135,000 in interest over 30 years. This new home at a $412,000 loan can never refinance at 7%.
They probably would, because at some point rates are probably going to go down, right?
Will end up costing them $574,000. So them moving from a 550 to a 650 house, even with $238,000 cash down, it's going to cost them nearly $450,000 in interest. Luxury homes are sitting on the market, and if your home's not selling, it's because it's overpriced.
Yes, it is easy. Thank you. It's as easy as that. It's the market. The market's telling you it's overpriced. Welcome to the market. The market decides.
Buyers determine the value of your home. And if you're not asking for a price that's currently within the ballpark of what the buyers would consider as a good value for your home, then it won't sell and it will sit on the market. So if your home's not selling and sitting on the market, you can either do improvements to it to make the value of your home more, to not.
Yeah, that does not. Unless it's really updated, that does not go away today that it did previously.
Ask the asking price that you're currently asking for, or you can lower the price to what the home is actually worth in its current condition. That's it.
Let me give you a little insight on this one. He said if you want to sell your house for more, do improvements. It's very tough right now. If you put in a pool and it costs you 20 grand, you might get the 20 grand back. But people are paying 50, 100 grand for pools, and you're not going to get that money. If you paint it, it's going to cost you 20 grand or 10 grand. You're probably not going to get that. If you put in flooring, it costs you 5 grand. You're probably not. You might get that. So you're not really going to get more. You're going to get what you put into it. Here's where the magic comes in. I had a seller with a 2-bedroom home. Turns out this was actually a 3-bedroom home, and they dropped one of the walls so they can have like an office, but they didn't want the wall. The difference from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom house was like $50,000. On average. So I just said, just put it back to what it was. He put the wall up, spent a few $1,000s, and bam, 40, 50 grand more that he got out of it. Yes, there's improvements, but you need to get it sold by the right agent. Tuesday.com. Get it sold by Tuesday. Tuesday.com. TOOSDAE.com. Let's get back to it.
Your house is subject to notice. So first of all, every single time your house shows, your realtor should be giving you feedback. Based off feedback, you should have a pretty good idea as to why it's not selling. 95% of the time, it's simply overpriced. I know you don't want to come down the price.
That's a good agent. You will be well informed. If your house doesn't sell, you're probably gonna know why. It's not a fortune teller thing, but okay, this is what's going on, and these are the situations as to why this is going on. From there, but it won't be clueless. There has to be steps that have to be taken in order to get a different result than what's going on now. And by having the right agent, that's how you move forward the right way.
Your home not selling, or your agent is your listing not selling. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what you can do. I want to punch you in the face. I'm not going to, but I want to.
Okay, what she's trying to do is when I tell people I have a house in Texas that will sell, and they ask, have you thought about renting?
I want to punch you in the face. I'm not going to, but I want to.
Oh, that's it. Okay, no valid information behind it. That's healthy dialogue.
71% of real estate agents in 2024 did not sell a single home.
That's insane. Everyone and their mother just...
The previous video. So now renting, it's a possibility, but you got to run the numbers. It might work 10% of the time. So it's a possibility, but probably not. So that girl, yeah, she's mad because she probably ran the numbers and she keeps hearing rent your house. And that's probably why she wants to punch somebody. I get it.
And their brother or their daughter want to become real estate agents. 71% of realtors.
71% of realtors didn't sell a house. That's crazy. I have a few transactions. I could be doing better, of course, but I'm one of the agents that's selling.
Crazy.
How many houses have you sold, Mr. Hammer? Nah, he probably sold the house because he's got some real estate. I think he was talking about selling the house in a podcast. Mr. Hammer, not being an agent, has sold more houses than 71% of agents. That's Mr. Hammer. Kudos.
2024. Oh, 2025.
That means out of 1.5 million real estate agents nationwide, over 1 million people didn't sell a home.
That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. Not one. Did they have someone buy a house?
Oh, fuck. Wow. And only 4% of the agents across the United States sold over 10 homes, which that means roughly 60,000 agents out of 1.5 million sold over 10 homes. You're looking at one. I would say 2024 was not a great year for real estate.
What about 2025?
The line's behind it. Even when interest rates hover around 7%, I'm seeing people go, in the beginning, list their houses and start buying too. It's interesting to see the change in the optimism in the market. Here are the 3 only reasons houses don't sell. First reason, the house is overpriced. You think their homes are worth millions of dollars, but sometimes it's just not. Second reason, home doesn't sell. Your real estate agents idiot. They don't return calls, they don't follow up on leads, or they just don't have any experience. Third reason, the house has a defect. Seems to see the rent house.
Have you ever walked into a house and it smells like fucking cigarettes, man? Probably home by yourself, you're like, oh shit, I can't do this. Sold a house in Phoenix outside Seattle last year, gotta get a market. Yeah. Did it get stay high? I already did. Most people are just overpricing their house. They think they're getting coke level pricing for pricing that isn't there.
Yes, and it's not what most sellers think. It's all to show you the weak market signals that are viewing when your price with the market or behind it, so that way you can sell strategically instead of hopefully. Because if you want to get selling these multiple offers instead of sitting and waiting, then this might be the reality check that you need. Because here's what's happening to sellers right now. You're pricing your home based on what sold 3 months ago.
Oh, yeah, so here's a month here. This came out recently. See what they're saying. See.
But you may not care about the Federal Reserve or interest rates, but you may want to buy a home. And what the Fed does can influence the bond market, which can influence mortgage rates. And guess what? Selling numbers like pending home sales for the month of June, that all look at those.
Overnight pending home sales in June dropped just less than 1% from May. We're down 2.8% from June of last year. These counts are based on signed contracts for existing homes. So people out shopping in June, and that's when the average rate on the 30-year fix actually did slightly
Oh,
over.
did. What about today? Average 30-year. Because inflation.
If you want to look at the current mortgage rates, go to Tuesday.com, TOOSDAE.com, and then you scroll to where it says mortgage rates. Monday through Friday at 4 p.m., it gets updated and you will see the latest information. And you can break it down by conventional mortgage, FHA, 15 years, I think jumbo, conventional, whatever. There's a list right there. And if you want to know what the average is, like I said, check out the website.
We're seeing today's rate is at, come on, Rocket Mortgage. Oh, you're taking this out first. Fuck you. Bank rate, the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis has it today at 3.65.
Briefly, the home builders noted increasing earnings and this brought more buyers in June, but of course the builders are also able to buy down rates. Home sellers can't, and rates popped up again in July. Today we are at 6.77% according to SoldByToosdae. Now sales are down despite nearly 29% gain in active listings at realtor.com.
This is sellers have to say, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. Years ago. That's it. It's a housing market. This is the market. You got to play the market. That's it. That's what my housing market makes me nervous. I would be. Hopefully your local market's a little better. For you, it's 27%. Good. I don't think Texas has a net immigration problem. I don't think so. I think Texas and Florida still some of the highest immigration states, right?
Some of that gain is only just staying in.
Actually, I do think Texas is one of the places that's losing some people because they had so many people go into Texas. They do have people coming out. There is a state, I can't remember off the top of my head, that's actually, I think Chicago maybe. There is some states that are they're expecting the price to go up because the population is growing. But Texas itself, their forecast is actually down because they do expect some people to leave.
There was actually a
You guys people in the UK, get out. It's like the most declining country I've ever seen. It's crazy.
back in new listings in June. Regionally, though, sales dropped everywhere except in the Northeast, which is kind of weird because home price growth has been strongest in the Northeast.
Probably lack of supply, right? Even though people put things in the market, they don't really build in the Northeast anymore. Lots of NIMBYs. No in my backyards. And the South Florida, Texas, lots of building, lots of NIMBYs. Yes, my backyard.
Mortgage applications to buy a home after this week, they dropped 6% from the previous week, down 5% over the past 4 weeks. Total mortgage demand, including refinances, is at the lowest level since May. According to Banking Associates, the economist said it was less about the rate.
What does the Fed do if employment numbers keep looking rough and inflation also keeps looking rough? How do you fight the dual mandate with welfare against fear mandate? Lights cuts, maybe lights cut rates, low, I think, and Fed would prioritize inflation more, right?
The solution is actually going to be, we're switching our monetary right now. We have what's called fiat currency. We're going to switch to digital currency. And I'm still trying to figure out, like everybody else, what's going on with that. But looks like people that are in debt, if it's good debt, you're supposed to benefit somehow. We're going to find value in something that we don't see value in it right now. I'm in the middle of studying that. So I don't want to, I'm not going to throw anything out there yet, but it looks like it's not going to be gold. It's not going to be maybe real estate. I think it has something to do with universal basic income because AI is going to come in and just get rid of probably my job as well. So I'm in the middle of that. But yes, inflation is going up. Other countries are selling the US debt. Less people are borrowing and doing transactions in the US dollar. So there's something going on, but there's going to be some very radical changes in the way that money is handled. And it has something to do with digital currency. I'm in the middle of studying that, in the middle of looking at different, I don't really want to give financial advice, but if I see something, I'm definitely going to invest in it.
It's more than putting on employment. It's kind of like it's a thing about moving here. No, I'm not moving here for political or tax or very business or anything. It's like there are business incentives, of course. Mostly to global health, so it's easier to get people in and out day of, which a lot of people require for the show. And also, our Aussie's not a very good work system in terms of direct flights. But I mostly like one, I want 4 seasons. I'm not Texas. And two, I don't like suburbia. I'm a local person. I always step outside and have access to 25 coffee restaurants, coffee shops, and a parking lot. So I mean, that's literally the only reason. I don't care about Texas, New York City specifically. I get that's how it's up. It's not the lifestyle that I want, right? So that's it.
And more about, as we keep saying, uncertainty in the economy and the job market. Brian, I'm very proud of that.
Yes, I'm sure we ever hear more. Also has been a big city amenities,
Seems and food and all that stuff.
cities like Austin and lack. Austin has been
All right, from experience, go spend like a week in New York. Like he's talking about where you just get a hotel by Central Park or something, by the buildings, by whatever, Central Park, whatever the places with all the lights in the stores. Be there for a week and then walk around, go get some pizza, amazing pizza, good coffee, go get a gyro, some from halal guys, you know what I mean? Do the whole thing, go to the Empire State Building. There's a bunch of stuff to do in New York. It's really cool. And then go to like New Jersey, to like a normal place with no buildings. And I don't know if it's because I'm from a place that's not the city like that, like in California. There's just this thing that you can breathe better when you leave the city. But yeah, go check out Wall Street, the Raging Bull and all that stuff for a week. And then go out to like New Jersey or something like that where it's a little more spread out, where there's a little more green. And then there's just like just try it and then let me know how it goes. If it was just me alone or it's just the New York City thing, I don't think that's for me. But people love it. There's people that would never leave.
Not on the same level. And also, it's just, we don't have the big city amenities to accept less. So this guy's talking about kind of what's going on right now. So let's talk about how bad the signs of the market are right now for housing.
And this type of behavior is actually very common in the midst of housing market downturns. In any type of downturn, actually, even if it's like the stock market, any asset class where prices start dropping, there's this period of denial that sellers have in that market.
Have you been to NYC? It's gross. My entire team just went there a couple weeks ago. In the area where our office would be, an area where I would live, it's literally not. It's like
yeah, some areas are pretty gross. When you're walking, it smells like pee on the street. There's some bums, so it's a little rough. But let's not talk about New York. I want to talk about what this guy's talking about. Remember the transition period I was talking about? That's what this guy is talking about. That some people are still stuck, and they get an offer and they get a little offended, so they're like, "No, I'm not going to drop my." It'll take a while before they realize if it cost them 10 grand right now, it's going to cost them 50 grand later on. It's just going to be a more expensive mistake, but maybe they haven't sold a house before and they haven't gone through it, so they don't have that experience. And it's just that's how you learn. That's how you learn.
Trash once. There was no homeless. I think when most people think of New York City, they think of like right in the middle of Midtown or the heavy tourist spots where all the loiterers are and all the people are pissing. It's disgusting. It's like not statistically, this is not 90%. But you wouldn't be visiting those other areas where people actually live and enjoy life, right? Outside of when you're visiting as a tourist. Pittsburgh's too small. I wouldn't move to Pittsburgh. Yeah. Where they say
I did visit as a tourist. I am not the New Yorker, but I love the pizza though. And getting in the middle of the night, getting me a hot dog or going to the halal guys.
Oh, this isn't real. This is no big deal. This actually isn't happening. And I believe we're going through that right now in the U.S. housing market in a state like Florida, where I'm standing right now. This is one of the biggest states for delisting of homes.
And I was surprised. Housing prices in Florida, rent in Texas, dramatically going down. But the state built, and the state wanted to build. Honestly, a lot of it is political strategy, even to get more representation in Congress. So they built. And I'm sorry, but when there's more on the market, when you want to go sell, you're not going to be selling at the price where the market now has more supply. It's just not going to happen.
And the values here, they're down 3.8% over the last year. And you see a lot of hockey was up 6.1%. What the fuck? Sellers, when they list their house, they're not accepting that. They still want peak price. But the thing is, folks, after the
Why not California? Because it's still deep suburbia. You're not going to find me walking. Like, where's the walkability in LA? Like 4 streets. And also California has a dramatic homeless population problem that New York City doesn't have. It's like a different kind of homeless, aggressive and dangerous and injecting in the middle of the street.
period of denial often comes the period of capitulation. And what I think a lot of these sellers are missing is just the overall trajectory of the market, because the listings and the inventory on the market keeps going up. Same data from Realtor.com shows that we now have almost 1.1 million.
That's crazy. Okay, June 2019. Okay, here we go. So this is when housing prices were fucking crazy. It was right around here, which is crazy because you'd think everyone would be selling their houses and collecting that money. But I guess, well, okay, wait, this is housing supply and demand. Okay, I guess because so many people were buying and selling at the same time that it kept it down, right? That's probably it, right? That's my guess. Because people were selling, collecting that money. I guess people were buying too.
Active listings across the U.S. housing market as of June 2025. That listing count, that inventory count is now almost back to pre-pandemic levels on a national basis. And in a state like Florida, inventory is way above where it was before the pandemic. And across the entire South, actually, the 16-state southern region, inventory is above pre-pandemic levels. So when you have all that inventory and you have demand still down considerably from pre-pandemic levels, you're going to have a soft housing market. You're going to
Yeah, that's where we are. You're just going to get it up, man. Get it up if you're selling.
have home prices dropping. You're going to have sellers getting frustrated. And my fear for a lot of these sellers who are delisting is that they don't understand what they're about to walk into 6 to 12 months down the line. I mean, here in Florida, for instance, everyone, our reventure at home price, here we go.
And I didn't watch this. As you can see, what this guy's talking about with the transition in the market, where there's like a bunch of buyers for the one house, and then eventually gets to one buyer for one house. And now maybe there's more houses for that one buyer to choose from, and it changes from a seller's market to a buyer's market because people weren't even getting. They were like, "I'll take the house. I don't need an appraisal. I don't care what it's worth. I'll take the house. I don't care about I don't need an inspection. I don't need anything fixed. Just give me the house." And they didn't even bother looking at the neighborhood, driving it at 5, 6 p.m. during the week to see what's going on outside. And there's a lot of complaints of people regarding of houses that they bought. That's when it was the seller's market, but the sellers were getting all the money. So now we're in a transition where sellers saw a certain price and they wanted to wait, and now it's costing them a little bit. If they wait longer, it's probably going to cost them more. But it's very good information that this guy that's walking in this map right here. It's very good. So pay attention to this.
Yeah, it's up in a lot of the Midwest, except for Indiana. I never really had a lot of confidence in India. Oh, this is forecast. I was going to say Kentucky was higher in that last image. Forecast. So where a lot of people left to during the pandemic, looks like it's headed down. Also, California headed down. That's interesting. Because if people are going back to the Northeast and that's going up, you'd think, well, when does that happen on the West Coast as well? Washington, Oregon, California. It's very interesting. What is this? We should play around with this app. What's this app?
Forecast is saying, I mean, here in Florida, for instance, everyone, our reventure at home price for
Reventor. Maybe like the Monterey area? Alabama? Monterey? Where's Monterey? Alabama. Monterey, Florida. Where's Monterey?
Okay, here's what I was talking about. If you look at this map, so this is a forecast, meaning that for the few home prices in the future, everything in blue is stuff that's dropping, everything in red is stuff that's going up. If you see the highest one, you have Illinois, that's in Chicago. Like I said, I knew this might have been where I saw it. This might be the graph that I was looking at. So because Chicago's getting more people moving into it, I think that's why they're forecasting that the prices are actually going to go up. But if you look at Texas, is going to drop 5%. California is going to drop 3%. They're all going to drop. And that's because, I don't know, they lost people or there's more inventory. Whatever the reason is, they're expecting prices for houses to sell for less and the red houses to sell for more.
House nearly went from 30,000 to 300,000 in 4 years. That's fucking wild. I mean, that sounds like a local boom and bust, right? Okay, we go. Hold on, make sure my location sign is. I don't think it is. Interesting by methods by state. So this is where we are. This is home values right here. So, well, obviously Northeast is most expensive. Yeah, what's up, guys? That's what we care about, right? Here we go. So this is where we saw it in his video. Kentucky was up 5.5%. Michigan's up. Midwest is just up as a whole. Well done, Midwest. Northeast is up except for Vermont. What happened in Vermont? That's curious. New York's up substantially. California's down 1.25%. I'm not paying for this dick shit. Source Zillow. It's on website though. But this is correlated with population growth. For sale inventory. Here we go. Oh, and where do you see the decline? The reddest of the red. But interesting enough, we were seeing a big increase in sales price or in home value growth year over year in New York and Michigan as well. But those are both red and same with Pennsylvania. But look at Florida and Texas. Look at 166,000 for sale inventory. That's twice what we're seeing in California. So the sellers are just gonna have to give up. Or DC. I'm not in DC nor never been to DC. That's interesting. Low on the market and low populated states. That's not surprising. I don't think. That's interesting. Okay, sure. What's driving New York? Home value year over year growth in Metro. Oh, we know Austin is certainly decline where I am. That's what we've seen a lot of declines. All the Florida counties are in decline. A lot of Texas, all the Texas major ones are in decline. LA's still up. New York, which was heavily red, is actually more up in Syracuse and stuff. This is curious. For sale inventory. Yeah, most of the inventory for sales like New York City, Long Island. Austin's heavy. Dallas is huge at 30,000, 35. Okay, maybe click off your website. Well done. Loser.
Forecast is saying minus 6.2% in Florida in the next 12 months at a statewide basis. And some areas we're thinking prices are going to drop 10% in the next 12 months.
That's crazy. 10% drop would be fucking wild. Listen, I'm sure it might pick all the way back up again if rates go down dramatically. Oh, will rates go down dramatically if inflation keeps doing a little ticky, right?
I do not want this video to. I'm not doing.
It's mortgage rates are at 11 month low. Here it is from inflation. So this is the inflation data earlier. Oh, look at this. It's a tractor by Root is up. Apples are dramatically up. Auto repair is up 15%. This is fucking crazy. New vehicles only 0.7%. The used up 6%. Apparel, not much. Tools and hardware up. Furniture up. That's interesting. Coffee up 20%. Garbage up 13%. That's fucking wild. Hey, recreation's down. That's good for all you recreationals out there. Lettuce is up 3%. Potatoes up 2%. That's very interesting. Okay, let's see the inflation. Okay, here we go. So this is kind of a concerning chart, right? It's not like it's skyrocketing up by any means. But I mean, so imagine if that inflation. That's what it fucking would be, and I don't want that. I do not want to enter that period. We already heard of inflation before. So that was like 70s, early 80s. Fuck! I want to go through that in my life. I thought we solved that shit. So there's you're sitting in the fence. I'm going to put it down. Oh, inflation's finally going down. Oh, we're going rates up. Okay, let's hold rates up for a while. Inflation's going down. Oh, it's like inflation's going down.
This is the consumer price index that I was talking about. Well, this is from WSJ Wall Street Journal. You guys want to check this out? This is the price of stuff going up and down, core and overall. They take stuff out like the price of gas or the price of rent. They take stuff out. They nitpick a little bit, but but if you want to look at like if the price of eggs or the price of gasoline or the price of buying a car is up or down month to month, this is the stuff, the information you're going to look at.
Tick, tick. 3 ticks in a row up. Tick, tick, tick. That would be scary. Overall, inflation has a boom. It's pretty decently up. That would make me nervous as a Fed, but at the same time, seeing unemployment, fucking 2024 job numbers are just revised at like 1 million less gains than we thought. Isn't that insane? Fucking crazy. Prices rose 3.1% over the past 12 months. As you forecast, it's being driven heavily by like coffee. So what's going on with coffee? Uncooked beef steaks up 17%. This is better than cooked. Are you buying a cooked beef steak? Beef steak from the grocery store? Cooked steak? If you're buying a cooked steak from the grocery store, you deserve the inflation. That's fucking crazy. Even still, mortgage rates. Okay, here we go. Here's the overall chart of what we're seeing since 2022. This is obviously when rates started to rise, and then, kind of flat around that. What would you say? 6.5, 6.75. Kind of going in between, but it's upside down right now. But will it continue that way if we keep seeing this inflation news? What the Fed's going to do? People predicted the next Fed meeting there's going to be a quarter point cut, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
Next Fed meeting, I think it's going to be more than a quarter point. I forgot where I read it, but it's sounding a little desperate. I think they're going to drop the rate 0.5% at least, or maybe a whole percent. But there's I forgot what I read, but it was a little bit alarming.
I don't know. Buyers have already gained purchasing power compared with the start of the year. A home shopper with a $3,000 monthly housing budget can afford to buy a $466,000 home with 6.35% mortgage rate. So 20% down payment, which gives a fuck. So are people coming to the table with $900,000? More than that. Like $90,000. It's like it was like it's actually $100,000 after closing costs. Are people coming to the table with that? Because that would be fucking crazy. Who can have that? What's the average savings in the U.S.? Hey, let's search that up. What? Median savings account, not including retirement in the USA. That's how you come up with $100,000. Average taxes last year were $6,000. That's disgusting. That is disgusting. That is cutting is so priced in that if it doesn't, then it'll be held up. That's interesting. Okay, here we go. Under 35, median saving balance, transaction account balance, I guess. 5,400, 35 to 44 is 7,500, 45 to 54 is 8,700. It goes down, 55 to 64 down to 8,000, and it rockets up from 65 to 74 at 13,400, and down again 75 years and higher at 10,000. Some buyers charge ahead. Mortgage purchase applications in the week ended September 5 rose 22% from a year earlier to the highest seasonally adjusted level since July, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association. Every time this mic's information, I just get stressed.
Let me summarize what you just found affordable to become for the average American to buy a house in the United States. The average household income in the United States is $80,000 a year. And
really? I thought it was like, I guess average, right? That's not median. Let's get average. And median's more important than average. Median's 80,000. Wow, okay. And the most recent available data 2024 puts the real median household income at $83,700. Wow, we kill the rest of large countries on the earth. Obviously, cities don't count that shit.
Financial advisor recommends that you spend only 25% of your after-tax.
That's not realistic, but I would try my best not to go about 35%. That could be impossible in places like LA, San Francisco, New York City,
That's the best you can Boston, but the best you can do, try to save at that 35
income on your housing budget. Your after-tax income.
Okay, the 35%, great number. Mr. Hammer, I think I'm in real estate, so I got the real estate covered. You're like a financial planner or something like that, and great advice, by the way. People really need to listen to that, but we're in a consumer country, so it's going to be tough. There's a lot of stuff that I say people think I'm crazy, and people are going to think you're crazy when you say that. But if everybody listens to you, the economy would crash, especially if women listen to you, because I think they hold most of the debt, but when they don't make most of the money. So yeah, that would, I think you would probably go to jail. Women would put you in jail for misogyny if they had to listen to you.
$80,000 a year. And if you were to take 25% of that on a month.
I'm not the best with finances. I'm a little irresponsible, so I don't mean to hate on women. All right.
Your monthly mortgage payment should be no more than $1,250 per month.
And that's not possible unless you put like 50% down. That's impossible.
A $1,250 per month mortgage budget only affords you a $175,000 home, but the average home price here in America is $420,000. So the average household in America can only afford a $175,000 home, but the average home price is $420,000. That, simply put,
That's crazy.
is the entire issue.
There's a lot of people getting a house they can't afford, and people are refusing to fucking, lower the price they're trying to sell their houses for.
Are dealing with right now. Do not let anybody ever tell you that right now is the right time to buy. The right time to buy a house is when you can afford it, and that's it.
Yes.
And if you can't afford it, that's totally fine. Renting is okay.
Yeah, renting is very economical right now.
They also saying the housing market has become so unaffordable for most Americans over the past 4 years. How much?
Let's talk about this headline. If this is your first time seeing me right in Italian
I'm making $135,000 being roommates. I'm sure in some places, sure.
I'm the co-founder of Open Igloo, and I share tips and info on renting in New York City, so be sure to give us a follow.
Fuck is Open Igloo? Verified but not me. Yeah, $15,000. What the fuck is going on?
The gist of the article is that if you were not making $139,000 a year, you could not afford the majority of the available rental listings in New York City.
And this is New York City, yeah.
I think it's the point in the United States. Your rent has gone up, and if you looked on Zillow recently for relief, you've probably been bummed out. Got a bad case of that.
What's wrong with this guy? There's like a chin situation happening.
Never move again. You're not imagining it. A study finds that
It's the shadow. Why is this phone crew not taking care of this?
first time ever, rent is unaffordable for half of all U.S. renters. The study from Harvard finds rents went way up during COVID. Half of renters pay more than 30% of their income on rent. 25% of people pay more than 50% of their income
That's insane! 25% pay more than 50? How can you survive? That's not possible. For Roswell, we can survive 40K. Yeah, true.
on rent. The study author told NPR, even though rents have started to come down in some expensive areas, people most in need are not seeing a lot of relief. She says new apartments on average are more than $1,400 a month. Now remember, this is nationwide. She adds that millions of low-cost apartments have been wiped off the market. Average cost for an apartment in LA County is $2,700 a month, although that is down about $300 since last year. It's still nearly twice the national average.
What's a young college graduate to do?
Okay, yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's part of it until you save up a lot of money. It's sad, but yeah. Does anyone know how much it costs to move a mobile home within California? Buying some land, already have a mobile home? Well, land's going to depend on the area, big guy. That's all it is. You can't just say in California. California's huge, massive areas, different areas, completely different areas.
Oh, yeah, ADU, I mean,
But it should be no surprise because everything is gone up. Everything is super expensive.
Everything, well, typically, historically, our average always go up. That is something to bake in, but Uber will transfer 2030 to 2035. We'll see. I'm very curious. What if they just blow it all first?
And then with that, you ask the landlord how much it costs them to get a sink fix, to get, the apartment
It's true. I mean, I bought a dilapidated property that no one was willing to live in, no one was willing to buy to live in or fix up. It's just a long-term rental plan. It was expensive bringing everything up to just a livable house. I used to put a unit on the market that wasn't there to begin with, but fuck it, it's expensive to do anything. Labor's expensive. It's brutal.
Painted and painted. Everything is super
Learn how to do it yourself.
There you go.
Especially if you're a homeowner.
Yes.
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
All right. And that was the Tuesday reaction video, Tuesday.com for real estate, TOOSDAE.com.
Oh, yeah.